Good evening and welcome to the Common Council for February 12th, 2019. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Hanson,
Present.
Fernsler,
Here.
Sedlacek, Wilson,
Here.
Gilson, Nelson,
Here.
Gonzalez,
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
For the record, we have a quorum. Next is the pledge. Please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second, Alderman Olson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Gonzalez. Gilson. Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next is the audience portion where we ask people to sign in and be recognized by the chair. This is where you do the talking and we do the listening. Nobody signed in this evening, but I would like to make a comment to express our appreciation to our DPW for, they've been doing a lot of overtime lately with back-to-back snowstorms, and they're cleaning out fire hydrants, they're doing day and night work, and I think we're looking pretty good. So hats off to our crews that are out there working hard. Moving on to item 5, no items were removed from the consent agenda this evening. We'll move on to item 6, ordinances. Ordinance number 2, an ordinance amending section 10-1-56 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Plymouth, Wisconsin, related to city parking lots and ramps. And I'll ask our administrator for a brief comment on that.
Sure. The Public Safety Committee met on January 15th and discussed a number of parking-related items. Some of those items appear on the agenda tonight. Ordinance number 2 of 2019 primarily relate to the Stair Park area, and I'll reference kind of the map figure within the packet. What the ordinance change does is two things. One is it kind of basically corrects or acknowledges the new parking layout for the first 5 spaces in the northern first row and the first 5 spaces in the northern second row closest to Stafford Street, where overnight parking is allowed. And that is currently signed that way, but we never updated the code when that happened. The new addition, really, that was recommended from the Public Safety Committee is related to the 6 stalls closest to the parking ramp, or the parking structure, I should say, where those 6 stalls would be converted from 10-hour parking to 24-hour parking. And so those are the 2 changes that are made in ordinance number 2 of 2019. The Public Safety Committee did recommend those changes.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss. Alderman Hildebrand.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2 of 2019.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion or questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Gonzalez, Hildebrand,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Fernsler,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 6B, ordinance number 4, an ordinance repealing section 2-3-9 and 2-3-10 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Plymouth, Wisconsin, related to the superintendent of parks and superintendent of cemeteries. I'll ask the administrator for a summary, please.
Sure. This is really a staff request, and there's probably going to be another update coming related to the Director of Public Works / City Engineer, that ordinance section as well. But Essentially, that position is the superintendent of parks and the superintendent of cemeteries underneath the director of public works city engineer code section. But then it references in the code, then in this section, there's also a separate superintendent of parks and a separate superintendent of cemeteries. And the city has never really had a superintendent of parks. We've always had a street superintendent. And so in terms of management and control of the parks and maintenance, that just falls underneath the Public Works Department. So there really isn't a need to have a position classified as superintendent of parks. And then the superintendent of cemeteries, again, Kathy has kind of been the backup to Tanya, who as the management assistant has been given that role. In talking with our city attorney, we probably still need to reference the state statute code section related to the superintendent of cemeteries and the director of public works section of the code, but we'll just list his or her designee, and that allows us to designate Tanya to kind of serve in that role. The other thing is to keep in mind, probably 1 hour, maybe an hour a week is dedicated to that work from a 40-hour-a-week job position for Tanya, so it really doesn't make sense to have an official position, kind of its own title in our code related to that when 39 hours of her job is something else. So we're looking to kind of just clean up our code and repeal those two sections, and we'll come back at a later date and update the Director of Public Works Code section as well.
Good, thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss. Alderman Hanson.
I move the ordinance number 4 repealing section 239 and 2310 Code of Ordinances, City of Plymouth.
Second, Wilson.
We have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Wilson,
Yes.
Fernsler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Gilson,
yes,
Nelson,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 7, resolutions. Resolution number 3, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Plymouth amending the effective date of resolution number 23 of 2018 regarding amending Plymouth Utilities sewer utility rates and regulations to establish a reconnection hookup fee for sanitary sewer service laterals. Try to say that 3 times fast. I'll ask our administrator for a brief comment, and this was on the utility committee earlier this evening, so we'll update that as well.
Sure, I'll kind of provide a introduction, and then I guess, Mayor, we'd turn it over to Council
Sure.
President Hanson.
Correct.
You have a memo in the packet, but to refresh the council's memory, the working committees of the council had various meetings on water laterals and sewer laterals and different policy options. What eventually came out of those work sessions was a resolution adopted on August 28th, 2018, where the council established a reconnection fee in the amount of $750 that would be billed to the homeowner of a property where we're replacing sewer main. And the reason for that policy at the time is really to get the private sewer lateral, the old sewer lateral replaced and outside of the roadway, so that when we move forward and do a brand new road project, if that old sewer lateral fails, then that homeowner has to dig up the road and repair it, which is costly for them, but then it damages a brand new road that the city paved. And staff recommended that you look at including in construction standards that we would do this as part of sewer main projects. Many other municipalities already have adopted construction standards where this has been done. And most of the time it's probably part of sewer rates. In Plymouth, we were one community that has never adopted that construction standard. The committees kind of wrestled with that back last year, as to, yes, we should adopt the construction standard, but how do we pay for it? And the consensus at that time was to, instead of having it in rates, to bill the homeowner $750, which is meant to offset that cost. And so that was what was approved last year. Now fast forward to this year, on February 21st, we have a public informational meeting scheduled for the people that live on Hine Avenue for that road construction project. We're planning on informing those that are impacted by this reconnection fee that charge would be coming. However, I had contact from Council President Hansen to look at delaying the implementation of this until January 1, 2020, to allow for additional discussion among the council, with the potential to repeal the resolution completely, and then put the cost of that program into rates instead of charging the $750. If the council decides to move forward with this resolution in February here, we would continue our projects as we have the last couple of years. If the resolution isn't, the effective date isn't changed, then we will be telling a group of about 5 or 6 homeowners that they will have to pay the $750. Now, the majority of people on Hine Avenue will not have the charge, and the reason is because after Kapoor went through the engineering and looking at it, most of the project we can do sewer lining, so where the sewer main is not being replaced. And so when we're just doing a lining project, we don't have a need to make those connections, and therefore will not be replacing the pipe or touching the sewer laterals. There is a section on Hine Avenue where we do have to replace the full sewer main, and there's between 4 to 6 customers where we would have to have new tie-ins, and they would get the $750 charge as it stands today with the resolution. So that's a quick summary. Public Works and Utilities grappled with this issue at committee level. There was not a recommendation that came forward during committee, but it is on the council agenda for discussion, partly again because we need to know what to tell residents on February 21st. So it'll be up to
Thank
the
you,
group to
Administrator.
debate.
The chair will recognize Council President Hansen.
Well, Mayor Pullman, I move to resolution number 3 of the 219 amendment, resolution number 23 of 2018, by making the effective date of this resolution to be January 1st, 2020.
I'll second that to go into discussion.
We have a first and a second discussion. Alderman Hansen.
I've been doing some checking with other communities, and I've checked with Sparta. Sparta, the utilities pays for through rates or however it is done, they pay for the part under the road that we're going to maybe assess the future residents when road construction is done under laterals. I've contacted Waupaca, and I've contacted 5 communities. I've contacted Waupaca, and Waupaca Utilities, they pay for the fees under the road through the utility rates or however it's done. They do not assess the residents any fee on that particular basis on it. I've contacted Waupun. I try to contact communities that are relative to our size. And so I contacted Waupun, and Waupun, they own the sewer lines under the street. And they do not charge the $750 as we had proposed to last year. And then I contacted River Falls, and River Falls, the gentleman is kind of new there, Ron Groth, and he said we haven't done projects for 5 years, so he doesn't know what their particular policy is. So those are the communities. And in Sheboygan Falls, they do it a little bit differently. In Sheboygan Falls, they have a requirement that if it's underneath the road done, that you have, and I may not be 100% correct in this, but they make on a new road construction, they make them replace the sewer from the middle of the road to the house and the water lines to the house if they're lead. And they give them some monies along the way to help cover the cost of that. So I'm proposing that we look at this as a different factor in paying for the, as Sparta, Waupaca, Waupun, and go on their type of policy. And I believe Administrator Yurga says 90% of the utilities, or you don't know exactly, but.
Yeah, I said that at committee, but I said I bet at least 90% of the utilities, I'm not aware, actually, this is a better way, I'm not aware of any other utility doing the reconnection fee.
That we're proposing to charge. And I voted in favor of this resolution last year because, we need to have something done so we don't dig up the roads. And as we've examined things now, and I've done some examining and checking on it, I believe that we should go a different route that the other cities do. And so that's why I'm proposing to put this to January 1st of 2020, and we'll have time to look at what we do with it, and then maybe adapt some type of policy that these other cities have. So that's a long, short statement on it.
Thank you, Alderman Hildebrand.
Resolution number 23 doesn't list anything to do with the private water laterals or private lead water laterals. I would like that stricken anywhere on this resolution, number 3, where it says it in second paragraph. We're going to discuss private lead water laterals, and there's several other ones throughout this that discuss that they could bring a discussion with this as private lead water laterals. I think we're only talking about the sewer here, and that shouldn't
Correct.
be included in anything in this.
Point of order here. I believe Alderman Hildebrand is referring to
The memo.
cover letter memo rather than the actual resolution on the front page. And the resolution, as I understand it, would be to amend resolution number 23 of 2018 by simply changing the effective date but leaving everything else intact.
Yeah, that is correct. The resolution has nothing to do with water
Yeah,
levels.
but we shouldn't be discussing it at all either for resolution number 3, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, the cover letter
It shouldn't be
is maybe
confusing
not-
at all.
is maybe
In that
not
direction.
perfect, but the resolution itself simply puts the effective date
On the sewer only.
to January 1, 2020.
Not that it's brought into discussion in form for resolution number
Yeah,
23.
it's
And that's why I wanted to
it's a
take it
good
from the
record.
form letter as well.
a good recognition. Question, Brian?
Yeah, I'm not, the only thing I see here is where it says
In
Council
which
President
paragraph?
Hanson has requested the
The
resolution.
second, middle of the second paragraph. Yeah.
Out here, dead water laterals,
So it says Council President Hanson has requested that the Common Council have additional discussions about private lead
resolution
water
number C,
laterals.
which would include amending resolution number 23 of 2008 by making effective
He's
January
talking
1st.
on the bottom of
Council
the
President
page.
requested that resolutions, Common Council can have additional discussions about lead water laterals and sewer laterals. Well, there shouldn't be any discussion
Right.
with this.
Oh, not tonight, no.
Well, not ever if we're gonna change, 23. That has nothing to do with lead water laterals or water
Right.
laterals. It shouldn't be discussed in changing, a resolution number 23, or add it into resolution number 3 as discussion.
I stand, I'm not gonna argue, I'm just repeating what Council President Hanson
I
has
understand.
requested
I
to
understand, and
discuss.
I think he knows where I'm coming from, and
And I didn't bring it up, I don't believe, so.
well, you did in the previous.
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 8, committee reports and action. Public Safety Committee recommendation from meeting of January 15th. Approve changes to the 10-hour parking to Stair Park and the Stafford Street parking lot. I'll ask Administrator Yurgis or Chief Tauschek for a comment on that. We have a map that the members have.
Yeah, we'll also reference the downtown parking map again, but this isn't an ordinance change, it's just an approval to change the parking signage. The Public Safety Committee also recommended the changes here, and there's two of them. One has to do with Stair Park and the green area where you're converting the 2-hour parking to 10-hour parking. So that's the first change in terms of the posted signage for parking limits. And then the second one has to do with the Stafford Street parking lot, where essentially kind of allow the first 4 parking stalls off of Stafford Street to be posted as 10-hour parking. I believe most of our parking areas have areas that are 2-hour parking, but also 10-hour parking. This parking lot that is municipally owned has no stalls listed as 10-hour parking, and the committee did recommend approving 4 stalls closest to Stafford Street. That would be 10-hour. The reason why it wasn't closer to the Frontier Communications building is because sometimes there are Frontier Communication trucks that pull in here, so the committee recommended closer to the street. I don't know if Chief Tauschek has anything else to add.
No, I don't.
Chair will entertain a motion. Alderman Hanson.
I so move the recommendation.
We have a first and a second. Any additional questions?
Councilwoman.
Alderman Hanson.
This was brought to you, Chief.
Yes, a couple of business people downtown asked if they could change the signs could be changed to some 10-hour.
So that way more persons could park there, or?
Park there and have a little longer stay downtown, and sometimes 2 hours isn't enough, not only for businesses, but for customers. And on the north side of East Mill Street, it's limited parking, long-term parking was the other reason. More of the 10-hour parking is on the south side of the municipal lot.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Wilson,
Yes.
Fernsler,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hildebrand. Gonzalez. Nelson.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 8B, Finance and Personnel Committee recommendation from meeting of February 12th, authorized and other post-employment benefit, OPEB, study by key benefits consultants not to exceed $4,500 to come from the Self-Health Insurance Fund. Administrator Yurgis, please.
Sure, this is a recommendation from Baker Tilly, the utilities auditor, to address this issue, which we have not done a study to date on, but for other post-employment benefits, what we're talking about here is the health insurance plan. And because if you were hired before January 1, 2014, and you retire with the City of Plymouth, you are able to stay on our health insurance plan, provided that you pay the premium or the COBRA rate. Okay, and then you can stay on until Medicare eligible. The city is not subsidizing that, but that is an eligible benefit that someone can continue on, again, if you were hired before January 1, 2014. Because we're self-insured and the premium doesn't cover our potential liability, because we have a stop-loss premium of $75,000, there's a potential liability for us to allow retirees to remain on our plan, even though they're paying the premium. And underneath GASB accounting rules, we need to determine what that liability is, or potential liability, and have an actuary do that calculation, and then that needs to be recognized in our financial statement or annual audit. And so the request is to hire a third-party independent actuary. Key Benefits is recommended from Baker Tilly. They do a lot of municipal work in the state of Wisconsin, and the cost to do that analysis is estimated at about $4,500. The committee did recommend that those funds come from the health insurance fund, since the study is purely related to the health insurance program, they did recommend that cost be applied to the health insurance fund, so.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
So move, Alder Nelson.
Second, Alder Gonzalez.
We have a first and a second to spend an amount not to exceed $4,500 for a self-health insurance fund, from the self-health insurance fund for a study. Any further discussion? Alderman Hanson.
Question, if the retiree who's on the benefit or an insurance, if they had a major situation, is there a cap what they'd have to pay? Is that what we're looking at, or is it?
No, so our plan, for a family plan, I believe the out-of-pocket maximum off the top of my head, I believe is $5,000. So that's there if they were on a family plan, for example. But again, our stop loss is $75,000. We could receive lasers, because let's say they had a severe medical issue and they stayed on, and that laser could be $250,000. So that's where they single out a specific member because of a health risk, and basically the $75,000 stop loss on that member is really like $250,000. So the liability is again, although they're paying the COBRA premium, the liability is the potential claims exposure to the city of Plymouth.
But those employees had been on that plan for a number of years prior, depends on when they're hired.
Well, if they were,
So it's kind of a
the program
fair
is closed
situation.
for employees hired
Oh.
on or after January 1, 2014.
Okay.
You can, the council did that back after Act 10, the council changed the medical plan and put that into place. So each year that overall pool is getting smaller, but it still is a liability, and because of governmental accounting standards changes, we need to do that study and report that potential liability. Otherwise, if we don't, I assume Baker Tilly would list some sort of comment within our audit document that basically says we're not in compliance with GASB accounting standards, which I don't think we would want that in our financial audit.
Any other comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 8C, Plan Commission recommendation from meeting of February 7th, approve extraterritorial CSM for Jeff Gelzer for the lot south of Tumbler Ridge subdivision. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the extraterritorial CSM for Jeff Gelzer for the lot south of Tumbler Ridge subdivision.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 9, new business, approve the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-150 from Mike Burkhart Ford in the amount of $26,136.50 for Plymouth Utilities Electric Division, with funds to come from the 2019 Utilities Capital Improvement Budget. I'll ask Administrator Yurgis for a brief summary.
Sure, this isn't just a reminder, an approved project. It is part of the 2019 capital improvement plan. Jim Peterson received 3 quotes from 3 different Ford dealers. Burkhart Ford is the lowest quote at $26,136.50. It is a basic work truck, nothing fancy. That's why you'll see that the cost is, sticker price is much lower. If you went on the lot and bought a brand new Ford 150 as a normal vehicle, it would be a lot more. This is considered a work truck, and the price is very reasonable.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss. Alderman Hildebrand.
Motion to approve the half-ton pickup truck for the amount of $26,136.50.
Second, Alder Nelson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Wilson,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Gonzalez, Hildebrand,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 9B, approved payment of $553.42 for 2018 rescinded taxes for tax parcel number 592718186656 to the Sheboygan County Treasurer. Clerk Huberty, you want to tell us about that one, please?
Yeah, the city's assessor contacted the Sheboygan County Treasurer when they determined that a tax parcel that was just vacant land, for some reason, got a land improvement on it, like a garage was assigned to it, and there was no garage on it. So the county treasurer, I included her letter and the rescinded tax bill that she created for what the proper bill should be, and the difference is this $553.42, which she is asking for me to get board approval for. We pay this tax bill, and then she will send a chargeback request to the state, and the state reviews that, and it makes its determination, and then by November, we get their determination whether we can charge back the portions that are to come from the county and the LTC and the school district. So hopefully by the end of the year, we would know we'd be able to recoup some of that charge, but in the meantime, we have to pay it, and then we have to pay it first, and then we will be able to charge it back hopefully by year end.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
So moved. Wilson?
Second, Wilson.
We have a first and a second to approve payment in the amount of $553.42 for 2018 rescinded taxes as indicated. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. New business item 9C. Chair hereby announces a public hearing to be held before the Common Council on Tuesday, February 26th at 8:00 p.m. in room 302 at City Hall, 128 Smith Street, Plymouth, Wisconsin, regarding ordinances number 3 of 2019, repealing Chapter 6 of Title 15 and creating Chapter 1 of Title 16 regarding construction site erosion, and repealing Chapter 7 of Title 15 and creating Chapter 2 of Title 16 regarding post-construction stormwater management of the Municipal Code of the City of Plymouth. Moving on to item 10, Chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding filling IT position. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to go in closed session.